In this section of the tutorial, we're going to go ahead and move into polishing and creating the teeth and the mouth area. Now this is the fun part. You know, you get to, while you're working on a project, you get those glamour pieces. And for me, I can see in this project that the teeth will be a glamour piece where I really get to dig in and polish and really bring it to life. So I just want to select a base color close to where we are. And if you notice, I only moved up just a little bit. I don't want to really take a huge jump in color. And we've got the same brush. We're going to use the same brush. We're going to turn the scatter effect on for our chalk brush. And we're going to go in and we're going to start to build some texture on the teeth. So I keep my flow and my opacity pretty low because I actually want to do a build up here. I want to start to see it come to life. And this gives the illusion of bone. Or you could do the same thing for concrete, etc., etc. But this is something that you don't want to rush. You want to spend a little time here, because when I'm done with all of this, I could actually just crop this piece out and use it for a portfolio piece if I wanted to. So this comes in really handy when you find these little glamour areas, and it gives you the energy to really push into your project, because you spend a couple hours, maybe 1 or 2 hours, hour and a half working on something. You can kind of get bored. For some of you, if it takes you a little longer, maybe a couple of days on a painting, you certainly kind of lose that fire. But if you find those glamour pieces within the project, that makes it worthwhile. So if you're watching, I'm doing a slow build up. I'm looking at those areas that could be considered, oh, you know, maybe I go back and paint over that or erase it, but I want to keep those areas and I'm going to build on top of it. So you see those two little indents in the teeth in the bottom. That's because the top layer I have, I still have everything there. So I can't paint directly over it, but that's good. I'm going to use that to my advantage. So my top layer is just on multiply. So this comes through, it's just like regular pencil, it's still going to be on top. No problem. I'm still going to build around it and build on top of it. And this is going to help add to the grooves in the teeth so they don't look so smooth. Right? So now the two front teeth are the closest, so they should get the most highlights, right? The lightest of the color. But I want to touch the back teeth just a little bit in the process and bounce around. I don't want to do one tooth at a time. I want to be able to transfer this all the way through. It's looking pretty good. Climb up just a little bit more, and notice I only take incremental climbs upwards. Very small steps and just build up. And this gives me a nice rough look. And that's what I want. So if I wanted to create smooth teeth, I would just use an airbrush and I can get some really smooth, clean stuff. But in this case, I don't want to. Really like how this is turning out. And a chalk brush for me is a really good tool to get this type of texture. Take a step back. Let's see how this looks collectively. Pretty good. I'm going to change the name of this layer. Make this a teeth layer so I can keep up with it as I build. So now I'm just going in and getting a little bit more of a highlight to the ridges. Now, when you're doing these parts, you want to make sure that you work in moderation. So I'd rather start off with a little bit and have to go back and add more than to start off with too much and have to go back and take away, because taking away is a little bit harder than adding more, in my opinion. So able to get some nice clean edges, bevels here by adding the highlights. And if you think about it like a pebble or stone, how the light would bounce off of it, makes it pretty easy to paint this out. So this is looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. And just keep building up right here on the ridges as we catch the light. There we go. Get a little light source right in the middle because we know that the light is coming from the front according to everything else we've been doing. And I can actually do a tutorial just on how to paint teeth. I really enjoy this. I took a class with an artist who I really respect and admire, and he gave a course on painting teeth, and I thought that was really, really dope. So maybe one day I'll have the time to just do a tutorial on how to paint teeth, and just share that. We'll do different type of teeth. If you were doing human teeth, of course, we wouldn't want this type of variety, right? But if we're doing like a creature or a dragon, this really comes in handy. And so I want to leave the little splotches, the whites, the grays, and we don't have anything that's 100% white, which is good. Once we get a nice solid foundation on the teeth, we're going to go ahead and start adding highlights to the gums. So this feels good. Always checking my layers. That's why I leave the layers there, so you can see what I'm doing with my layers. And layers play a big part in what I do. But I don't name the layers, but I do have an organizational system, believe it or not. So I'm going to just make a folder for the teeth and gums. And this way I can turn them all off and turn them all on. All right, so I'm going to select a color that's similar to this color, and I'm going to start to paint and create that ridge, but we have to turn the colors up just a little bit, not too much. And you'll see that it's a nice contrast to what we have. I'm still using that chalk brush because that is the type of texture I want to use. And you can see the layers that we put down earlier are really paying off for us. When we, a few videos ago, we added that wet orange peel to the mouth area. So this is really working out for us. And I just want to get a nice build up around the gum line. It's got some receding gums, so that's good. Of course, a creature like this would. It's not like it would be brushing its teeth every day. And right there, that little ridge where it pops off, I really want to get a good run on it. So create the illusion of a curve there. Let's do the same thing here at the bottom. So at the bottom ends, I want to add a nice gloss, and we're going to come back and add a little more color to it. Some brighter highlights, I guess is what we would call it in this case. But I want to get a nice solid foundation, so it feels as if it's nice soft tissue, and the light's refracting off of it properly. And this is pretty good. This is going well. So while I'm working on a project, I try to save myself little treats like this in between the projects. So the first treat were the eyes. The skin part, not so much, right? That's where I have to do the work, and it's not too bad. The lip area, I think, is pretty fun to do. But the entire project, I was waiting to get down to the teeth and really pushing the teeth. So, you know, it's like a nice little reward while I'm working on a project. And oftentimes when you're working on a project, you'll say, well, this is pretty big, and you get bored, and, you know, you just kind of want to put it away and start something new. But if you set your projects up like this, where you have these moments where you feel like you're getting a reward, it becomes a lot easier. So just something to think about while you're working. Pick those little areas out where you can really get in and work, and it'll magnify the project. So it wouldn't make sense for me to do this to, like, let's say a shoulder area, right? Because that's probably not going to be the focal point. The shoulder area is not going to be a focal point where I'm going to really get in and be able to push things, right? It's pretty plain. Eyes, the mouth, a nose, depending on what type of creature it is. Wrinkles, definitely wrinkles. It depends on the type of creature or painting that you're doing, but you want to look for those things. They become pretty fun. All right, so I'm going to go a little bit lighter and really push those highlights to show the gum line area, the wet area. And yeah, just touch it a little bit. Each little drip or each little area where it dips down, let the light run on it a little bit here. There we go. Maybe that's too much. Once I take a step back, I can look and see. I think it's okay for now. Maybe once I get to the end of the project, I'll reconsider and see if I want to remove it altogether. There we go. So this is turning out really well. I'm going to bring a little bit of that color down to the lip and let's take it to the jaw area where the jaw kind of unfolds. Just touch those edges really quick and take those highlights into the jaw area. There we go. This is looking good. Giving me a little bit of bounce light, not too much, but enough that I'm drawing attention to this area. And I want to bring this into the lips, so I'm going to bring this down in the lip area too. There we go. And I could easily spend a good 40, maybe an hour more, just really pushing this on my own in my own free time. I probably won't for this tutorial because I really want to save my energy for everything, but you can see how that can just be a very exciting part of your project. So when we come back, we're going to continue to push toward the final painting. We've got made some really good progress. I feel like this is coming along well. I wouldn't be ashamed to show this to a director and say, hey, here's the concept, here's the painting, here's what I think the creature should look like before you take this to 3D. And I think that a 3D artist would absolutely understand what my goals were here and be able to create this fairly easily. All right, so in the next video, we'll continue with our illustration and pulling it together toward final.